to the edge, yeah, we built for more. Every limit we break, open up new doors. Take it to the edge, that's the life we chose. Where the pressure turn into diamonds and gold. Take it to the edge, yeah, we rise instead. Turn it down in the drive, now we living ahead. Yeah, right where the confident, that's where we at. No looking back, we adapt, we attack. Mind in the zone with the waves intact. White noise, raindrops, focus, don't crack.
Ladies and gentlemen, kings and peasants, welcome to the Edge of Greatness, episode 470. This is a hyperflow space, maybe even a podcast episode. We have an interesting topic to go over today. And that will probably be the only topic for this episode. Mm, yeah. That's the stuff. It would be rude of me to not introduce the people on stage first. What's up, brother Casket? How are you today, sir?
Doing pretty damn good, and I gotta say I'm happy you got a topic going because I'm a bit tired today, man. I think I will need to go to sleep earlier than I usually do. Seems like a good idea. Um, yeah, I could take the call, but I'm not gonna be super active edge. So if you're fine with that,
Yeah, of course. You know, that's fine. No, yeah, you took it anyways.
yeah, you said it's fine, and then I pressed the button. What's up, Lucifer? Feel free to come up here too. Uh,
You say, is Lucifer following you around, Mr. Casket? What did you do on those charts today? How good are you winning?
Oh, how good am I winning? Yeah, when you reach the occult money power level. No, 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 that's not why he's following me. I haven't done any rituals. Don't worry, Doc.
Don't worry, guys. Yo, Doc, how are you today, man? Did your space go well earlier?
I think it did. It usually goes okay. I might have shut it down early. I don't really remember. But what I did find out is cool is I am the number 101 ranked trader on Pump Fund.
No way. How is that even possible?
Lavanda has taken 0 trades on Pump Fund and is number 3,850. So all you have to do is do nothing, and you are in the top 0.5% of traders in Pump Fund. You just have to do nothing. I have the one trade where I bought Lavanda before I told everybody, okay, we're going to do something with Lavanda token. So I made $3.08. I have a 4.17% P&L. I'm 101 on all traders of Pump Fund right now. I'm thinking I may sell all this. I'm going to dump the chart, buy it with my other wallet, and then it looks like I realized the $30 worth of profit. That puts me. I'm like a Pump Fund god with those numbers. That's free advertising, though, isn't it? Right? Because if I do no other trading from that point on, I just sit there at the top of the list of best traders.
Yeah, move like no one else moves, right? Just like most people are now on the timeline, staying after everyone else, posting an image of Dogecoin and yo, to the moon, all of the peasants are posting that now.
I'm
To be
so glad you said this, Edge, because I literally just made a post, and the reason I made the post is the exact thing you mentioned. Exactly spot on. Um, guys, come on. You are all smart enough. There's no point in me telling you this, but come on.
Hey, but just to be fair, I did say early this morning I see Doge going to about 9 cents, and everybody said I'm a little crazy. That's kind of high. I said, I don't know. I'm going to set my number for 9.2, and then I did, and then I chickened out, and then I got in again, and then I chickened out. I was still up 23% for the day on my whole portfolio. The amount of times I went back and forth, but we're sitting at about 9.3, 9.4, and I knew that was coming. And I'm a chicken. Don't play if you're scared. God, I could have made so much more money. So dumb.
Oh my God, that term, that phrase, I could have. No, you couldn't have because you didn't. I could have. No, no, you couldn't have. That's not that. It's not realized. It's not real. It's in your mind. All of your thoughts. I could have. I could have. All of the thoughts. I could have been sitting on a private jet now. No, you couldn't have.
I mean, to be fair, it's the difference between $4 and 650. It's not like it's huge money I'm playing with right now. I'm still just learning, but I could have had like a supersized meal instead of the regular meal I'm gonna have to order.
Yeah, exactly. So, doing nothing is always the best answer, bro. Like, always, usually, like, don't tell sabotage that. Like, oh, man, you're even higher up on the leaderboard by doing nothing on the trading platforms than the people that trade. So, but yo, doesn't that show anything? Isn't that data? But yeah, um, let's go to the topic for today. We have CK Cardano in the space, Arc, Lucifer, Moonbase, and of course, my beautiful co-hosts, Doc and Mr. Casquette. Mr. Casquette. Um, no, I have a post pinned up top now, and it says, right at this second, this tweet is violently inspiring your senses through your directed attention with God's energy in motion. Emotion, you know. And then this energy moves through your neuroplasticity in your brain, and then you make a move with your limbs. Um, do you guys understand this? Do you like see the image in your minds, like how this positioning of the words paints? All of these words that people use, people don't even know what inspire means. They don't see what it means. You're literally drilling reality into your eyeballs violently at all times. you know I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this because this is the topic of this space.
I absolutely love this topic. I think this is going to be real fun to try to break it down into layman's terms because I kind of remember before I was able to see it that way. Like before the words actually painted the image for the structures we're trying to explain. Like I said, once you get it, it makes sense. But when you don't, I do remember it being like hollow words being said at me. I kind of remember that feeling. So yeah, let's break it down. I like stuff like this.
Yeah, you remember that too, bro. I remember. There's still, bro, we don't even have to remember the past. We can look at now as well. We see things that we don't know what it means, but then we have words and stuff that we know very well what they mean. And we can use those better because we understand them, and we can put them in situations where they fit perfectly, and we profit from those situations because we know what those words mean, right? But the words that we don't know what they mean, we just throw them out there and stuff. You become more careful with using those words because you understand that you don't have the deep understanding of that word. Perhaps, you know, that's not the truth then because you don't understand it or something. I feel like that's a direction we could go. What do you think?
Yeah, I actually like that. That people think things they don't understand aren't the truth because they don't have the ability to grasp it. And I think that's like if we're in a simulation, that's a defensive layer from getting into the next level. Like that discomfort has to be there to prove that you deserve access to the next thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Is this like about authority to use it as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the again. This is more like simulation theory or whatever. I think that's you're token gated by whatever information you've collected along your journey into the next levels of access or such. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm a little
No, you
lost.
you are. No, I understand. But that brought another thought in my brain as well. Like this brings me back to is what we see outside of ourselves actually there, or are we projecting it? And if we're projecting it, then what inspires us is a little bit weird. It's a mirror thing, you know. Um, how do you guys look at that?
Mhm.
I'm confused
No,
sometimes when I think of
I
this.
no, I agree with it strongly that the things you see, not fully, but yeah, a great part of it is your projection. I have an example with this too that made me realize how real this is. Okay, and this will completely change into something weird now, but there was a time where I was looking into the occult a lot, which I do not recommend. A lot of pattern recognition, symbol recognition started appearing everywhere. I started realizing patterns and symbols, and I saw it everywhere. Things you see on the dollar bill, things you see in movies, things everywhere. But at a certain point, near my house, there are six pillars of a bridge. On that bridge were symbols. Back then, since I had been feeding my consciousness with all of that stuff, I saw these symbols and I linked them to the occult things I had been seeing before, which pretty much almost made me lose my mind because why is that physically next to my house? This is getting scary. Turns out that was nothing more than a graffiti artist. But because of the way I was looking at it, the reality, it's graffiti. But because of all the things I've been consuming, I also started at projecting those thoughts outwards and I started seeing things that were not even there. But I was fully convinced for a few days that it was far from the reality. That was just me projecting it outwards. And that example, yeah, that made it very clear for me that we do that, and it can be very damn strong.
Yeah, it can be very strong. The it's it's supposed to be extremely strong for a period, for a cycle, I think. And then these cycles move, remove themselves, and then they come back, and then they, move on, and then they come back. And the people that quit, stop, uh, stay in limbo, but the ones that continue and want these cycles to come back, they will learn from each cycle and get out on the other side much stronger, because at one point they will have this epiphany and the entire mental image of how to operate properly in those recurring cycles. It's the tests that comes back over and over again. Is that the repetition of learning new things? Because we what we know is what we project outside. That's what we see. But if there also is a physical world outside of ourselves, the physical realm, then there is things around us that we shouldn't know anything about. And then what we know is what we see in this world. Do you see the paradox?
Yes, I kind of want to say something on that before we get too far off of the projections thing, because when you said you get confused about it, I do too. Because if we're all projections of our own consciousness, like technically, either I'm a reflection of yours, or you're a reflection of my knowledge, and the way that is shown to me is the more in alignment I get, questions that are asked around me can be answered by somebody else who is in that same alignment. And it feels almost as if I projected that answer into them because I know they knew the answer. So, like, even like Casket said something, I knew you were able to answer it. In my head, it's as if I projected this reality of you being the person who needs to answer it, because Casket was the one part of my projection that didn't understand it, whereas you were the one who had the deeper understanding. So, like, everybody is kind of bringing themselves into states of remembrance until a point where we all disappear, I think.
Until a point where we all disappear. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, because I think you're right. There's not necessarily even a physical world. I mean, even scientifically speaking, we've never actually touched anything. Atoms and molecules never actually touch each other. It's just like the impulses are transmitted through the way they move and interact with each other. Like even motion is movement based on its relative position to other shit. You know what I mean? Like so everything is, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying anymore, but
Yeah, you are. You do know. That's the thing. But you also don't know because you know so much. But yeah, me too. And you're also just a character in my video game, which is also a
exactly.
weird thing. Yeah. But if we project all that we know, that means that our neuroplasticity in our brains, um, they only process information that we know, but they develop too through these weird cycles that are going on. Um, it is strange. It's very strange. I had something I wanted to say there, but I forgot it. Perhaps Casket has something to say about this.
Yeah, it makes me, because when you say the cycles, okay, something that you want to improve, okay. So when someone is asking for patience, they're asking for patience. They want to be more patient. Probably a returning event is going to be a situation where there's a lot of stress involved, and the person can choose to do the exact same thing over and over and over again, get a rage outburst, or just an outburst, or they remember what they asked for. Didn't I ask for patience? Okay, let me try now. At this moment where patience is the hardest, let me try now. And then you try and you succeed. Only then you have gained more patience. That's the only way. And that's why that keeps happening, maybe. Same with people who ask for money. It doesn't fall out of the tree, but maybe a scenario with a different mask will return over and over again until you decide to break out of that. And that's when the
Yeah,
improvement
man.
is done. Yeah, that's the way
Oh,
I look at
yeah.
it.
No, that's beautiful. And, you know, we project, let's say we read a book, and we actually don't read the text in the book, but we're actually reading what our own brain. We're not reading the book, we're reading our own brain. And then from what we have currently experienced in our lives up until this moment, from birth, we feel what feels right from what we have experienced. So, do we only learn from, is this a continuous cycle inside of ourselves and not outside of ourselves? Is that the only thing that it is? And then we project it. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Because, like, we are a little, if our brain is in this tissue of existence, and if we remove all the flesh and put the brain in the middle, let's remove the brain's weird stuff and only keep the neuroplasticity. We put the neuroplasticity all in front of us. That's a tissue that is more compact than the tissue around it. And then there is, in betweens between the next brain, which is my neighbor. And these neuroplasticity points inside of God processes information more than the gap in between. So this is what ties existence together. I genuinely think that's the case. So we are in this darkness then, I believe. And then it's light everywhere, right? And then there is the density between the walls and us, which have us perceive the distance between the wall and us. Like the density of air is so low, right? I think that's how we describe it. So we're able to move through there. But there is really no gap, you know? It's really nothing that can be a gap. It's only light then. But this is also our limited five senses and my limited five senses interpreting it in this way. It can be any way. It can be any way. And even saying any way might be completely fucked for someone that has a sixth or a seventh sense that can actually explain even more. You know? I don't know, which might be a tree or something. I don't know. Or nothing in this existence. I have no idea. Even the word existence might be completely twisted.
hmm. One thing that made me think of air. I love the whole thing with air. For us, we don't really see the air. We don't really, well, we do feel it. We feel the wind. So there's a force. If I now punch very hard in front of me, I feel something moving. That's the air. But We're used to, okay, we're humans, we can walk through that, no problem. But a wall, I do say there are entities that can phase through walls without a problem. Not human again. We are limited to some things. We're physically bound in a way because, yeah, atoms, like you said, Doc, we don't touch anything ever. We're all just atoms. But I also strongly believe there's other things out there that don't have to deal with the restrictions that we humans do. We can't phase through a wall. That doesn't mean that no energy can phase through a wall, because yes, it can. Sound, stuff like that, or other things. It phases through it. We can't. Does that mean it's not a possible thing in the universe? Of course, it's possible. But I do strongly believe the world is physically there. I do think things are really here. Not that it's just my imagining of it, because I do believe I'm a creation from God, and God created this planet. So we're walking on there, the earthly plane, you can call it. What's after that, I do not get to understand that, because that's an ascension. I'm talking about paradise here, but yeah, I would say this is really a physical world, though. That is, yeah, that's something that I do believe, even though it's all just atoms.
Mm,
Don't get me wrong.
yeah, yeah. I'm thinking about the reciprocity of things. Is that two polarities as well, the outside and the inside? So when we're describing that we're projecting everything, is that one pole, and then the outside is the opposite pole? So when we focus on outside things, we focus on hell, and when we focus on the inside, we're focused on God, or sorry, heaven, because inward equals upward and outward equals downward. If we focus outward on someone else's shit, well, we're gonna get dragged down to hell. It's gonna be resistance everywhere. But if we focus inward and on our own peace, we will ascend and build our own thing very peacefully. And creativity gets to be expressed because energy is supposed to flow, right? So then we get even more energy. So the problem isn't lack of sleep. The problem is usually you work a 9 to 5 and you don't get to express your own creativity. you know, um, which is great. I had another point on this. I just wrote down. I have to express it. If the world is physically here, bro, then how does things form and become matter in our brain when we put our attention in a certain direction? Like it forms there. Things form in the brain. It can reform and it can deform if we take our attention away from it. It deforms. It's not there anymore. You know. So is the world only there when we put the attention there, or can we see with the mind what is non-existent, and does that make it existent?
hmm I like this. I like this. I like this, because now I'm getting a further understanding too. Yeah. So look at it like this. By the way, shout out to you, Doc. You also mentioned this. God is there. He's there. Regardless, he's there. He is there. That's what I truly believe. He is there. And for my perspective, that is the absolute truth. It's not because you don't believe in him that it's not there. Same with how I look at the physical world. Just because you don't pay attention to it, or you just don't look at it, for you might not see it. It's still there. Of course, if you pay zero attention, like that's like the phenomenon with red cars. If you start paying attention to red cars, you will see all the red cars, and then you will think, "Oh, I saw a lot of red cars today." No, you see those same amount of red cars every single day. It's just you didn't pay attention to it. That's why you didn't see them. So that then, yeah, we do project things and we see that more. But I wouldn't say just because we don't project it doesn't mean it's not there. The wall is always there. God is always there. Just because you don't believe in it doesn't mean it's not there. But you do not see it, but it's there. There's a Yeah, thought of that. Let's go further. I like this, man.
Mm, Red core theory. Yeah, which part of the brain is that again? It's the what's it called? Fuck. It's called something. It's a part of the brain that if we focus more on things, that's what it will see more of. Um, I don't remember.
Before we get too far from this, I was going to say, do you guys know the flatland and spaceland explanations of like dimensional existence, two-dimensional versus three-dimensional, four-dimensional, etc.? Like why things can be happening right around us and we're not in tune to it because we exist in space, which is XYZ. But the way to
Yeah, yeah, I think that's like happening in our brain. We can choose for that to become manifested into the physical realm too. If we stay consistent on one of those paths, we can choose like one of them because we are one singularity point. But there is several singularity points around us. They can
right,
choose to be these
but
things. And
there's supposedly there are other we'll call it awareness levels where they exist on flatland. Like so anything they see, they can only see left and right. They have no concept of up and down. So now imagine a 3D sphere from Spaceland where we exist passing through their 2D realm. What they would see is a line appear. It would be a dot at first where like the sphere just started to cross into their existence. And as it passed through it, it would be a line that gets bigger and then slowly smaller again. You know what I mean? But as it passed through from beyond what they're capable of seeing, it's not that the thing no longer exists. It's no longer in the space in which Flatland occupies. So now the same kind of situation would happen. It's hard to imagine, but imagine like a four-dimensional thing passing through here would either, I don't know, it's kind of hard to imagine because it's probably happening nonstop. We just don't have the tools to perceive it because we're in a lower dimensional frequency and interpretation.
yeah, and even here, when some arrogant piece of shit comes with a dumb degree and says that, oh, I have a degree and I say this, so this is true. Well, you only have five senses too.
Hmm.
Yeah, sometimes people forget that we're all guessing.
I like it
Yeah,
though, Doc.
exactly.
The 4D phasing through 3D without 3D being able to see 4D. Yes, yes, I'm not sure if it's 4D, but yes, that is happening right now. Hey, you there in the corner of my room. I can't see you, but you're there. And if that sounds crazy to you, I'm sorry, but it's not. It's really not. What? So you can't see it so you can't see it means it doesn't exist? Again, God exists, we can't see him. In my religion, it's been stated of entities that can see us, but we cannot see them unless you start messing with reality a little bit. You start colliding the two worlds, and then, yeah, maybe you can see him again. Don't do that stuff. There's a reason why it's forbidden. Uh, but yeah, I strongly believe that that's a thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Also,
Keep doing that expression of your thing, man. That's the way.
mhm. And to add to it, I also mentioned earlier about the thing phasing through wall. Yeah, that's exactly what I meant. That's exactly what I meant. Doc just kind of laid it open again. Yeah, phasing through walls can travel at the speed of light. Oh, but how's that possible? Humans can't do that. Humans can't. They can, you know. And except that, yeah, I mean, there's other type of entities out there. I don't know how to explain it any different. Yeah, you can't see them. They're there.
Yeah, I think so too. Or are we talking about striking first with the mind now? Is that what we're talking about? We're really talking about ourselves. We're not talking about anything else. We're always talking about ourselves because that's all we know. So are we talking about striking first with the mind now? I could do this, I could do that, just what Doc said, but no, it's not happening. It's happening in your mind, which is a below, which also have aboves and belows, frequencies and stuff. Which the higher frequencies in the mind, the higher ego we can talk about. It becomes an increase that we need the ego to even be able to put direction to our movements. I want this. Okay, I'm gonna move in that direction. But we increase this by fasting, for example. We flood the body and brain with adrenaline and protein, and these things that we talked about yesterday with wild to survive. Right, we get more energized from fasting than overeating. You know, so we can do all that. That's just one plane, but uh, yeah, what were we talking about again? We were talking about the brain. That's one plane, but then it expands. So we have the universal mind, and we are inside of a universal mind as well. Where's the next? Where's the next step? Do we? I don't know. We can't decide. That's God. Yeah, yeah, that is God. But this is just one way of seeing it as well. To to be, yeah. I mean, if we, if we're talking about molecules and atoms and particles and stuff, we can see that the entirety of the universe is also shaped like a molecule, and different molecules in weird ways. You know, just like if we zoom in on the skin long enough or deep enough, we can see that it's the same structure as in space. Which is, you know, that has to be some type of realistic feedback we get when we look at those things. We can see the tissue of something that we can do, really. And we can see in viruses and things, uh, it moves around and, disconnects from each other, dissonance, and then it moves towards another place, resonance, and doesn't fit there anymore. So it creates dissonance again and moves towards another place. It doesn't matter if we look like humans. We're doing this too. It's the same. And with more senses than we have, or different senses than we have, we might just perceive this clay that is moving around and doing weird shit. You know, you know what I mean? Like when you have a one of these. Is it called a monoscope, or is it called like, yeah, when you zoom in that far, you can see like viruses and shit.
Nanoscope is a real tool that zooms in, so probably.
Yeah, I think we do like that. I think that's exact thing. So if we remove the fear of death, we can start moving properly like that, as it should. Um, yeah.
Now, I came to think of something. Yeah, we perceive this world as we perceive it, right? Now, psychedelics can completely change what a person sees. And it's just like, what if someone is permanently in that state? We don't know. Maybe we are permanently in a state that we just don't grasp, and that's why we see the world the way we see it. Just like someone who would take psychedelics, they would see the world as they see it at that time, and they would believe that to be the real world. So, yeah, what does that say about us? Now, what we see, there can, uh, yeah, there's definitely planes we can't see that I know for a fact. But yeah, I don't know where to go from that. It's just I thought of the idea with psychedelics, they do create a completely new world, which for that person does exist at that time, but it's not there. But for them, it is reality.
Yeah. I guess the topic died there because we deciphered the entirety of existence. Doc put something on top now, which is awesome. Should I read it? Oh yeah, let's go. A higher dimensional object intersecting a lower dimensional space appears as a changing lower dimensional shape, and it can reach inside things that the lower dimensional beings consider sealed. The same logic, the same logic is the classic analogy for how a 4D being would interact with our 3D world. It could appear as a changing 3D volume see our insides, and lift us up into the direction. Fourth direction or dimension?
I think I probably meant dimension. I was rushing it. I was tweeting. Did that get Lucifer
That's
to try to
fine.
come up? I was trying to provoke Lucifer. I feel like he may be a fourth dimensional creature, and we would see how that works. Because I think that's a good way to explain God mathematically. Like that's the just because we don't know it's there doesn't mean it's not.
Yeah, and I love
By
all
the
of
way,
these.
Doc,
I love these different concepts because the we have the Kabbalion, we have the Bible, and then we have astrology, and we also have this mathematical way of explaining things. And this is all philosophy, even math. That's also a philosophy. It's a way of explaining what we have experienced. That's what it is. All of these things, the same, all of it. I swear. It's just different angles. The Bible explains things through stories. It's a storyteller. The Kabbalion is more like explaining how the energies move in a rhythm. And then we have astrology, which is explaining the bigger cycles of all of these things together. So imagine if you had all of these perspectives. That's power. That's real power. But it's not everything. But it's the limits of what we can know, I think. So I'm gonna go through all of that shit. Well,
I'm old, guys.
yeah, okay. Space episode 470 and podcast episode number 10 this is. Thank you so much, guys, for pulling up today. I wish you guys a fantastic rest of your day. All right, and I will catch you guys next time. Do not be fooled. God cannot be mocked. That which a man sows, so shall he also reap. Walk with truth, walk with power. Have a good one. Let's get it.
Love everything evolve. When you master self, you can solve it all. No mask on, yeah, we standing tall. On the edge every day, but we never gon' fall. Type John, we ain't here to pretend. Real talk, turn strangers to friends. Level up, then we do it again. Push each other to the edge and extend. Breathe in, let it slow down. Clear mind, we in control.